Hey everyone, it's XCOM, and I'm making a video about this clipboard tool that I'm showing you here up top right. It's not a hack or an exploit. If you're actually thinking that this might be a hack or an exploit, just so you know, this is a very simple tool. It's not actually causing any form of EULA breakage, or you would call it like that. This is a very simple video. I'm going to make it in 3 parts. The first part is probably going to be a showcase. The second part is the installation, and the third is about the use case. So you can look in the description for the timestamp so you can scroll past the part if you're not interested in the introduction. Anyways, this tool, what I'm using is a clipboard manager. It's basically used for software like Photoshop or whatever. If you want to make a hologram and then draw on top of it, you can see here when I'm actually clicking on top of the image, it's actually not clicking on the image. It actually clicks underneath the image. Or actually, you need to right click here into the options and you click through, and then you can actually, the image basically doesn't exist anymore. So what I'm using it for is to just go around in the realm and locate where the heroes are. Like if I just go a little bit further down here, you can see that, oh, there's a structure here. Okay, this could have been a hero, but instead it spawned one of these, I don't know, these snakes that, I don't know, do something else. If we keep like going, you can see here, the miner just spawned, but I'm ignoring it because I'm just following the red dots. And if I keep going in this direction, it's difficult to see. The minimap is pretty small. I'm using a second monitor actually. I will show you guys that in a second here. If I keep exploring, and you can see that there's a red dot right there. It's difficult to see. I will actually show it in a different monitor. I have a second monitor which makes this much easier. Yeah, I can shoot these ants, and it makes it so much easier. I mean, it's far easier than just killing the red demons and then going down the list. Using this tool is pretty simple. I'm using one of 13 possible maps that exist in the game. There's 13 possible like maps that you can find on the internet, and each of the locations of these red dots, they're potential heroes. So you can see here, like from 1 to, I don't know, 70-ish, there's different locations that heroes could spawn. And then you can go to these locations and they're prefixed. So you can only get one of 13 realms, and every realm has specified spots where heroes can spawn. So they don't randomly spawn on the map. They spawn in these specific locations. So now because we know exactly that there is going to be a hero or something else beside a hero, it could be like, I don't know, something else or some other random object. So if we go to these locations and clear out the realm, it makes it much easier if you want to clear down the realm, and then after you're done with the realm, you want to, like, I don't know, kill the events. And because it's a overlay of the minimap on top of your computer or on top of your monitor, it's basically like printing out the image of what I showed you, this image, on top of a holographic, I don't know, what are those see-through papers, and like taping it on your monitor. This program is called OnTopReplica. Like you can also take an on-top replica of the game and put it on the map instead of going this way around at putting the map on the game. I'll show that in a little bit later. Of course, when I'm zooming on a minimap, it's not zooming here on the other map. So that's kind of a downside of it. But anyways, we just located one of the red dots, and it's this red snake thingy that drops this forbidden jungle. I mean, it's not guaranteed that it's going to lead you to heroes, but you can easily cross these off. The second you actually explored it, you can see where you've been. It's pretty simple, and you can go to the next location. This is the second part of the video where I'm just going to show you guys how to install it. It's really simple. You go to this GitHub link, link it in the description. You go to the releases. Here you can find the releases. There's a zip. You download the zip. If you unzip it, you will find these 2 files. And if you don't know how to install a program, I would suggest to Google how to install a program. I don't know, this is not how to install a program on your Windows computer. You install the program by double-clicking these files. When it's done, you also need the maps. These maps, I will provide them in the description. I don't know, I found them in OSANK's Discord. They're zipped and placed in like on a link, so you can unzip them. And each of these maps correspond to one of the realms. The installation of this program is so simple. I would honestly suggest if you have issues installing and having this program installed, then you should ask your, someone else in the household might help you. Maybe you can ask a friend on Discord. After this is installed, you will end up with a program that looks like this, a clipboard program. Okay, so this is going to lead into the third part of how to use this program. It's pretty simple, to be honest. You end up with this little thing, this window, when you start it. And it's a very simple tool. There's some options here. I'll go through them quickly. The first thing, of course, we're going to go into the settings. This is just a show and hide. I'm using Control and Shift and Z. You can use whatever hotkey or something else that you want to use. And if I click those buttons, Control, Shift, and Z, and it just toggles showing it and not showing it. Sometimes you want to, I don't know, hotkey that. I use those because it's easier to turn it off and on. Because of course, if you place this map on the minimap, whenever you change into, I don't know, castle or go into a dungeon, you don't want to have the realm map plastered on top. It's kind of annoying. So you can use the hotkey for that. And the second thing, you can actually make this program make a clipboard of every other window of your computer. Currently, we are going to, of course, use the Photon. Photon is just an imaging program that you can use. I'm using Photon because, I don't know, it can pre-install on my computer. You can resize it. You can change its opacity. You can make it click through. So if we make it click through, it's basically going to allow us to click through the program into a different section of the program. And if you want to make it stop, you can't exactly move it around. You need to click on the what is it called, the program at the bottom here, and then you can just move it around again. And then the other options that you need to be able to be aware of is the select region. This is the only advanced part of the program that I'm going to show. Everything else is quite rudimentary and simple. I mean, I'm not using anything else except for the opacity, the click-through, and the select region. Also, which window you're going to make a, what is it called, a overlap of. The select region is a little bit more complicated. Let's just go over to the game and let me actually show you what it looks like on the game. Let's just go back into the realm. Let's go back into Kraken here. And so now that we're back in here, you can see that I am located somewhere in the realm. The first thing I'm going to do, let's just move the map out of the way. I'm going to quickly explore some parts of this map so that I can actually make heads or tails out of which map it is. I will show you guys quickly here by just making this example so that this is probably going to be something that you're going to do. Give me a second here. I'm going to explore and be back in a second here. Now that I've explored some parts of the beach of the wherever I spawned somewhere up there. I'm going to go to different locations. So I'm just going to teleport to this rogue that is sitting on the other side of the map. Pretty good reference point. And explore a little bit more beach side on the other side of the map. I mean, 2 reference points is better than 1, right? So I'm just going to explore a little bit. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so now we have explored a little bit of the map. It's pretty simple what we've done. So now I'm going to place the map on top here. And it's difficult to see exactly because, honestly speaking, I know which map it is because I was here a bit earlier. I know it's cracking. I can overlay it somewhere over here. Oh, it doesn't let me. See, this is the problem we're having. The first thing I need to change is the size of the map. It seems to be a little bit weird and it doesn't fit. So I need to crop out the white stuff on the border here because Photon, the image that we're using, is pretty large. Anyways, this is the program that I'm using, this Photon program. You can see that there is white stuff on the borders. We don't want to remove that, of course, it just makes it annoying. So the first thing I'm going to do is to select the region that I'm going to be interested in. It's just a map. There it is. Now we've cropped out the map and we can actually overlay it on top of the game. Of course, this image is a little bit too big. Let's just place it on top here. It doesn't seem to fit that well. Let's just fiddle around with it until I find the potential location that it could be. Here we go. Now that we've basically placed the image on top of the minimap, it's kind of clear that this image isn't the correct one. You can see that the border of this beach doesn't really match up. This side matches up somewhat, but this side doesn't match up. So obviously this is not the correct realm. Let's just go through the images. Let's just go to the next image. Is this the correct image? It doesn't seem to be. And if I keep going, I know exactly which one it is. Let me scroll to the correct one. If I scroll to this image, this seems to be lining up with the beach. So now that we have actually managed to line up the map, and we can see that this border over here and this border over here line up perfectly, and possibly all the other stuff that is on the minimap is also lining up correctly because there's a guy standing over here on this left side, some guys standing over here. that makes it kind of clear that obviously this minimap is correctly lined up. So now we want to basically save these coordinates and make sure that the next time we actually launch this program, we don't have to fiddle around with this program for like 20 minutes to get this stuff lined up. The only thing you want to actually do is to explore the beach and go through the images that you have and just match up the image with the realm that you have, and then off you go. You can just start exploring. But the first time you start this program, you need to figure out these coordinates of how big this cropping needs to be and how big the image needs to be and all that stuff. And you need to do this once, and I'll go through it exactly what you need to do. It's pretty annoying, and given that my computer's what is called size, whatever it is, screen size, probably doesn't match up with your screen size, it will mean that you need to do this once. So this is a basic guide on how to get the coordinates of the select region correctly lined up. And it's pretty complicated to do it the first time. So I'll just do this once as an example, and then you can probably figure out by just looking at the example. The first thing you need to do is to take the image of the realm. Of course, if you don't know which realm it is, you need to explore a little bit more of the map and figure out which realm it is. I know which map it is. This is map world 2. Because I've explored this realm previously. I know which, but like I explored it earlier and I showed it earlier in the video. So I open the map and I place it on top of or in the background of the game. So now it's on the background of the game. And the second thing I do is to make sure that the size of this image, the photon program, is always going to be the same size. Make sure it's always the same size. If it's not the same size, you're going to have issues. If it's window mode, that's not going to work for you. Make sure that it's always the same size. So maximize the image, and that's going to guarantee you that it's going to be the same size. The second thing you're going to do is to leave that image alone. Now just leave it alone and go back to the cropping program and select that image. Now you have the perfect sized image in the background of your game, and you can just start doing the selection cropping as you want. The thing that you want to now do is to get this image to line up on top of the map. And this is kind of tedious. You have to probably spend about 5 to 10 minutes to figure this out. But if you do it once, you're probably going to benefit using the program. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to do it. And the first thing I'm going to do is to just line up this edge of this map on the minimap over here. Because you can't specify the size of the image. That's actually some limitation on the program that I wish that was part of it. You can't specify the size, and because you can't specify the size, you need to choose how to line it up and place it on top of your monitor. So you need to decide on how to line it up. I've decided to line it up against the corner, the top left corner over here, and you should probably do the same because it's probably the simplest way to do it. And make sure that the size of the image isn't going to be bigger than the minimap itself. So you need to basically line it up on the left and on the right, and be precise if you want to be precise. I'm not going to be really precise here. I'm just going to do it in approximation. The second thing I'm going to do is just select the map here. I'm just selecting the map, cropping out the unnecessary parts. Now that I've done that, I'm going to reduce the opacity so I actually can see the map behind it. So now you can see that this side of the map is obviously not lined up correctly, and so isn't the left side. So we have to probably fiddle around with this to get this to line up. Now go into the selection. Of course, the height needs to be corrected here. Obviously, if you start moving this minimap by pressing this button, you can see that the map goes down. That's not correct. So start scrolling the map up a little bit. That seems to line it up perfectly. And then we need to move the map a little bit to the right as well. Let's just do that as well. That seems to be good. And move it a little bit further up. That seems to be perfect. Now, we have lined it up this left beach, but not the right beach. It seems to be a little bit off. Maybe we could change the height because we already have like fixed the left side, and the right side could be changed with the width or the height. Let's just try to fiddle around with the width, and you can see that the image becomes bigger, but it's not going to help us in this case. We need to make it smaller. So make the width bigger and the image becomes smaller and smaller. And it seems like I was a little bit off on the height. So now because I've changed the image and it also changed the height here. So I just keep making the image big, a little bit smaller, because I can see that this side over here is starting to line up while this side over here is going down. So let's just keep going, make the image go down and make the image slightly larger. And I think the right beach is now correctly lined up. The left beach is also somewhat lined up. And let's just fiddle around with these numbers a little bit more. And that seems to be correct. The height can be increased just by increasing the height. I just get the image to become bigger. The height doesn't matter much, so use the width. Ignore the heights, just maximize the height. I don't know, put it at 1000, which seems to be like the maximum. Enter, and then it's done. And now that we have the height and the width correct and the X and Y correct, this seems to be lining up. Now you want to save this preset, so you just press the plus button and save it here. I don't know, save it to something that you want, press enter, and it's done. So now this size and everything is done. You press the done button and you have the beaches, everything lined up. And now the image has been like lined up against that top left corner, and the beaches now line up, and you just press your whatever to click through or whatever, and then you can start using it. And that's how you line this thing up. So once you've managed to figure out these coordinate systems, you might have to fiddle around with it until you figure out the cropping. You basically done that. You can just start exploring without any problems. And whenever you close the program, you can just reopen it just to show it quickly. The first thing I need to do is to line it up. I use the photon imaging thing that is at the top here. I go into the select region. I select the crop size. Now I'm done. I line it up against that corner up top left and bottom right. And I change the opacity to, I don't know, 50%. And I make it click through. Now I can actually click on people on a minimap, and the image is non-movable, and I can start exploring without any problems. And that's how easy it is to set it up. But to be able to get these coordinates, you need to do these coordinates and saving it. That needs to be done once. So I'll show you guys something that you can do if you have two monitors, and if you actually want to use two monitors, which is making this software so much easier, because this minimap is really small, and walking around and looking at the minimap is good if you have only one monitor, but if you have two, then you can actually have this cropping tool be used in a different way, which makes it much easier to explore. Okay, so this is the second monitor that I have. The cropping tool is over here. Let me actually reduce its opacity so it's much easier to see. I'm going to, instead of showing the minimap, I'm going to show you guys the game itself, which is also something you can do. You can not just take the image and place it on top of the game, you can take the game and place it on top of the image. So I'm going to set the preset regions that I showed you guys earlier. And now that I've done that, I need to just line it up like I did before. Top left of the image, right there. And at the bottom left of the image right there. And then I just need to change the opacity to 75%. And you can actually see that the image is actually lining up perfectly, just like we had it before. And now I'm walking around in the game on the first monitor, and on my second monitor, I actually can see the whole image of the game being updated live on top of the map instead. And the benefit of it is just that the map is bigger, and I don't know, it's just different use cases. Now I actually can see in detail where I'm walking around. And the only difference is that I'm using the game as a cropping tool, and the region coordinates are different. So this is just for people that want to do this the other way around. Like if you want to take the image and place the image like the game on top of the image. Anyways, that concludes the video. And if you have any questions, put them in the description. One last thing, look at that. When I'm in the Nexus, I can just turn it off using that hotkey that I showed earlier. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this program and start using this to clear realms faster, I guess. Bye-bye.